I think that what you mentioned is the greatest challenge. Of what is actionable. I started thinking about things, writing things down. I kind of told the players, kind of went through my mind, like I've got to educate myself on how to understand what are the avenues to go on, and we've touched on some, whether it be voting, whether it be meeting with politicians and meeting with this, but what for change, what has to be done? What are the laws that are either being put forth that that we feel that are working for us or aren't working for us, and if it is there, why isn't it working for us? I think that I just have so many things, and I think, and I want to say this again, that's where that confusion, when I use the word confusion, that's what it is for me. I'm just not as educated as I'd like to be, or able to articulate things as well as I would like to. But I'm trying to find that path, and I think that's what we're all trying to do.
Thanks, Coach. Let's take two more. Let's go over to Hayes and then D-Rock.
Hey, Doug, it seemed like you guys got a lot of good work done today. I'm curious, what did you learn about your team today to have a 2-hour conversation of this magnitude and then go out there and it seemed like take care of business and get a lot of productive work done?
Yeah, you get a question like that, and the first thing that goes through my mind is, I don't want to take away from, the 2-hour conversations that we've had. I don't want to misrepresent anything that we're about as a team together. But I would like to point out something I talked about before. I think that for those 2 hours, there were people that felt like maybe we shouldn't practice, or should. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know any of that stuff. The team knows that. But at the end of the day, I know it wasn't 100%. As far as what they were feeling prior to these meetings. But to be able to get in there and be able to voice what our opinion is, voice what we think we should do, and at the end of the day, show the unity of being out there. I mean, it's powerful. I mean, and I think that it's a characteristic that a hope that we can use to get us going forward, because like I said, this affects everyone in what I've learned in so many different ways emotionally. It takes you in different paths and different emotions, and to be able to work together and try to be able to do something, because make no mistake about it, I know when we speak as a team, and I'm sure the players won't mind this, we know what we want as the end result. We know we want equality, we know we want justice, we know those things. The path I'm going is and what steps to take. Those are the answers that we do not have now, but I can promise you that we will work together and find them.
Thanks. Let's take one more from D-Rock.
Hey, Doug, how would you describe the atmosphere of the meeting, the emotions in the meeting? Were the players angry? Were they fearful? Sad? Was it any more intense than when you guys met after the George Floyd thing and went on the march? I mean, is there a way that you can kind of give us an idea of just how emotional it was in that meeting?
Yeah, I think, again, I can't, I think you're going to have players available, that are going to be able to give you at least what they feel, or maybe talk about their teammates. But for me, I can only talk about me. It's, I guess, when we've had these conversations earlier, there's a level of, where you're upset. And I think, for me, there's a higher level of frustration, this time around. A higher level of, you know, here we are again. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did this? Why are we here again? Knowing that, whatever we've done between then and now, it's kind of like what John said in his first question. What are we doing? Why haven't we gotten anywhere? So I think, for me, it comes down to, when it comes, and then, like I said before, I mean, these stories that, you hear individually, it's not a battle of whose story's worse, where that is. What those stories do is, if you listen, it gives you more, maybe more empathy, but it gives you more um, emotion, or more uh, shit. What am I looking for? Where you want to do more. You know what I'm saying? It just gets to that level where it's, gosh, I mean, when are we just going to say, hey, enough's enough. We've protested, we've done this, we've done that. You know what I'm saying? And what are the actionable steps that we can really, make change that's not going to keep putting us back on square one. But again, like when I say this, these are the things that I'm feeling. I'm not speaking for the team or anyone else.
All right. Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time. Guys, if you sit tight, we're going to transition pretty quick over to DJ. And once we get going, we'll start with Mark Long and then Gene.
Hi, DJ. Can you
What's
hear me?
up?
Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you just take us through your emotions the last 24 hours, and what were you feeling last night? What were you feeling this morning? And how did you guys ultimately come to the decision to decide to practice?
So I wasn't really too much aware of all the situations because I haven't been on Twitter, and that's kind of like young people's news outlet. So I haven't really seen too much until this morning. It was brought to my attention as well as the rest of the team. Today is the first day that I saw the video, and for me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but it gets to the point where I feel like you've seen them all, because it's always the same situation, and we stand up and it happens again and again. And today, I commend Coach for bringing this to our attention this morning, and he gave us the whole morning. We all talked about it. We got a lot of frustration off our chest. We looked for answers. We still have more. We still have more talking to do. It's definitely not even close to being over. And ultimately, he gave us the decision as players that if we want to practice, it's on us. If not, he understands. And we went to the locker room, players only, and we talked about it. We all had our differences. And whether he was on the side of practicing or whether he was on the side of not practicing, we came to an agreement that we'll make a vote, and whatever side is the side, then we all gonna respect that, and we're gonna respect that decision as a team, and we're gonna do it. And it was a really, really, really close vote. And I'm not gonna say who was on what side, but we decided that, hey, as a team, we're not gonna let 5 or 10 people go out there and practice. We're gonna practice together, and that's what we did. And I think as a team, we took a big step today. And by practicing, by no means are we not being aware of the situation. We all are deeply saddened by this situation, and we're going to take the rest of this day to continue to talk about it.
All right, thanks, Mark. Let's jump over to Gene.
DJ, could you, moving forward now, regular season has already started. Would you be concerned about games being canceled if another incident where everybody believes it was an unjustified killing of a black person happened?
Would I be concerned?
Yes. Do you think that the NFL would, the players or the teams or the league, whatever, would move toward possibly canceling a game if this came up during the regular season?
I'm not concerned, honestly speaking. If that's the situation, I respect it. If that's what's going to get us answers, I respect it. I just want answers. Obviously, this is the way that, I live, I earn my livelihood. But if this is a way to come to a conclusion and the answer to stop all this police brutality, I'd do it in a heartbeat. This personally affects me because I've been seeing this since I was a kid. I've seen instances where a man in Winfield, Louisiana, where my mom is from, I forgot how old I was, got tased while he was in handcuffs, tased multiple times, died. It made CNN. We had celebrities come march, and they pushed the dates back for the trial. Eventually, the guy got off, and we never heard of it again. So if now a situation like this happens and the NFL say we'll stop, or the leaders of the NFL say we'll stop football until we get answers, I'm 100% with getting answers.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Gene. Let's go over to Cassidy.
Hey, DJ. First, just a quick follow-up to that. What are some of those answers that you would like to receive? What would kind of make you feel like there is progress being made?
From talking to my teammates today, one of the big things is a lot of people talk about these cameras being on and off. I think that's something that we need to get a universal rule for everyone. Today, I was made aware that the police departments don't all follow the same structure. And I feel like if you're going to be a policeman, you should follow at least the same structure in the United States. Whatever that structure may be, I think everyone should be held accountable under the same umbrella, kind of like in the NFL, every player on every team is held under the same umbrella. Personally, I would like answers to me would be arrest. I just can't get behind the idea that you can commit a crime that, since growing up, I've been told, that's the ultimate crime, taking someone else's life. And you can commit that crime and face no repercussion. So a big thing is if we can get arrests for these cops and have them, even if they have to go to court and if they beat the case or whatever, let the court decide that, but I feel like everyone deserves to be arrested. I don't think we should allow people, because of their occupation, to get away with things that just not moral.
And then second of all, I know that when you are an athlete, you do have a platform, you've got thousands, even millions of eyes on you. What do you say to the response, well, stick to sports? Even if you do have a platform, it's not your place to tell me this. What would you say to someone who said that?
I say, take away sports. At the end of the day, we all Americans. So, that's like me telling someone who has, a 9-to-5, wherever their job may be, to stick to that and not, venture out and try to make your community better. If you're not trying to make your community better, what are you doing? If you're not trying to lead this world, lead this earth with making a positive impact, what are you here for? Whether it's sports, that gives you the platform, whether it's music, entertainment, whatever it is. If you have a voice, I think if you're contributing to something that's going to help, something that's positive, I think you should use it. They say if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all. I think that applies to everyone. But if you have something good, it should be heard. And if you don't know how to say it, you should still put it out there and find someone that you trust to help you word it the way you want it to be worded. But I think everyone should have a voice.
Thank you, DJ.
No problem.
All right. Thanks, DJ. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. If everyone wants to sit tight, Chris will be
Thanks,
here in just a
DJ.
second.
Man, what a day. Today the building in the locker room was somewhat of a microcosm of what's been going on in this country for weeks and months. But the outcome could be taken in multiple ways. You could take it in a way to say, oh, they weren't united, they were split. You know, the vote to whether or not to practice or not, or just to really just continue the conversation came down to one vote, 36-37. And you can look at that as a negative, or you can look at the fact that the discourse was happening and the disagreement was happening, but people decided to band together and stick together and see the positives in that. You could look at the people who don't have the same experience or background as other people in the locker room and who said, hey, I want to sit down with you and talk and come to a better understanding of what it is that makes you feel so strongly. That's a positive. Quite frankly, if I'm honest, I don't know exactly how I feel right now. There's a sense of sadness, but at the same time, when something happens a lot, you can grow numb to it. And that's not a place that I or anyone else in this building want to be. And quite frankly, we've had conversation time and time again on what can we do that's actionable. And we've come up with ideas. But ultimately, the thing that we have all agreed on is that we can't stop pressing until things happen. You know, it's not something that will happen overnight, but we can't allow ourselves to let life happen and us to forget. So I'll answer questions that you have, but that being said, everyone doesn't have all the answers right now. But we're doing our best to grapple with the events of the past week and of really the past months and years and experiences of our lives.
Thanks, Chris. We're going to start with John Reed and then Mark Long.
Hear me, Chris. I know a lot of frustration, but to tell me something, if you guys hadn't practiced today, what message you think that would have sent? And also, is it frustrating as an NFL player? I'm surely you look at what the NBA players are doing, and you have a platform, and when you say the things that you've said, and then you turn around and see more police shootings and not seeing progress in the way you want to see it, and you still got to continue that message, and you're not seeing the results. What is the frustration there for you?
I think there's always frustration and always sadness when something like this happens. But at the end of the day, we have to know that this is going to continue to happen until there is true reform until there is defunding. And by defunding, I don't say just getting rid of all accountability and law enforcement, but I mean putting funds into communities that can be a first response to things instead of police. People who can be there for family disputes, people who can be there for mental health crises, people who are trained in de-escalation before violence, and these things are followed until concrete things are made a plan, so that these things have levels of interaction before police. This is going to continue to happen in some of these neighborhoods and in these communities. So I would say that it's more sadness than a frustration, because we knew that this wouldn't change overnight. Obviously, we always mourn the loss of life. And that's the thing that I really want people to get to a point of realizing that this is about life. This isn't about priors. This isn't about, did he do this? Did he do that? Was he armed? Or did he not do this or that? This is about a life. And who are you to put a value on a life? Who am I to put a value on a life? And if we need to get to that baseline of saying that a life matters, and that it has value beyond what his warrant was, beyond what his circumstances was, what he looked like, what was going on, whether he listened or not. And that's the baseline that I want to get to with people. That frustrates me more. The people arguing that he deserved it. The people arguing that, oh, well, he should have this, he should have that. He shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have died.
Thanks, John. Let's go over to Mark Long and then Gene.
Chris, I'm just curious if that's the same speech that basically you gave your teammates this morning when you're talking about this. Not speech, but is that the same emotional, same rawness that you delivered in the locker room or wherever?
Partly. You have to have this
level of more. Yeah.
You have to have a certain level of just control over your emotions if you want to convey a message sometimes. And it can't come from a place of anger. As angry as you can be and as frustrated as you can be, if you want people to receive what you're saying, it can't come from a place of anger. And so that's one of the things that I told them this morning is you have every right to be upset. You have every right to be angry. But when we come together and we say a message as a team, it can't come from that place if we want to be received. And part of our talk this morning was about what we can do right now. We've talked a lot as a team, and we've put some things into motion of long-term goals and plans that we have here in the city of Jacksonville. But quite frankly, those are long-term goals and plans. But this morning we talked about some actionable things that we as a locker room can do now, conversations that we can have now. And that's really where our meeting this morning took a turn, was let's look at what we can do here right now. We might not be able to affect the whole world, but we can do something here where we're at.
Thanks, Mark. Let's go over to Gene and then Cole.
Chris, I'll ask you the same question I asked DJ. If we come to a point in any time during the NFL regular season where another terrible incident happens, like what happened with George Floyd or with Jacob Blake, what would you expect the action to be from the players? Would you expect that it could result in games being postponed or what have you? Because we've had 2 and 3 months now, so it's certainly not a far-fetched scenario.
The difference between the NFL and other major league sports machines throughout the country is that they're looking for your replacement here at all times, and they will replace you, and the show will go on without you. And until the people in the NFL who are irreplaceable decide that they're going to step back and they're going to hang it up for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, I don't foresee that happening. I think you have great leaders in this league. You have guys who have a voice and who want to be heard and who are willing to make that sacrifice. I believe I'm one of them. But until those figures who are the face of the league decide that and people rally behind them, I don't think you see that. I don't think you see that from us. And I hate to say that. I wish I could stand up and say with confidence that people in this league would band together for the least of these, even the people that they might not have the same experience as them, and say, hey, I didn't grow up like you. I don't feel the same things you do. But because we're at this point right now, I will stand with you or I will sit with you. I don't necessarily have that confidence in those people in that position. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. You see the leaders and people in the other leagues who stand up and say that they're sitting down, and those are the guys. Those are the LeBrons. You know, those are the Currys. Those are the guys who are at the top of their game in the face of the league. The same thing would need to happen in the NFL for that to happen. And until then, I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. We're going to go to Cole, and then we'll finish up with D-Rock.
Hey, Chris. So just kind of dovetailing off your answer to Gene's question there, you're really talking, for the most part, about quarterbacks, right? I mean, that if you're talking about the faces of this league who need to make a stand, can that happen? Do you think it can happen? And beyond that, is there a way or a possibility that NFL players coordinate with Major League Baseball and NFL, or rather NBA, MLS, these other leagues that are kind of doing this? Because we're at a time right now, because of the coronavirus, where we have all these leagues playing right now or about to play right now that you don't always have. So it's sort of a unique confluence in terms of the opportunity to have that platform.
I think that anything's possible. I think that it's going to take a lot of volition out of those guys, and a lot of that is a bold statement and a bold step to take. And I understand some of the reasons why people are not, apt to make those decisions. My first 2 years in the NFL, I probably had the same exact outlook that a majority of these young guys in this building have. I was afraid for my job. I was afraid for my shot. I had made it to this stage and I wasn't letting it go. I wasn't going to let anything distract me. And it wasn't until my third year in this league, where I had the game taken away from me, that I realized, this is who I am without the game. I'm okay if this doesn't happen. These are more important things beyond this. And so I think that it's possible. I understand how painstakingly hard it's going to be for those guys because of the position that they're in. But if a statement is going to be made by this league in solidarity and everyone standing up, it's got to start with them. If we're going to put pressure on the people in this country who make change for accountability, it's got to start with them.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Cole. We're going to finish up with D-Rock.
Chris, what do you think it will take to get those quarterbacks and the face of the league guys to do the things that they need to do?
A hell of a lot of courage. The problem with the league is the NFL is a very large league. You have a lot of guys on a lot of different teams, a lot of different backgrounds. Not everyone knows everyone. Even people who are of that significant status, not all of them know each other. It's a little bit different in the NBA. A lot of those guys do know each other, and if they don't know each other directly, they know someone who knows someone that they've played with. These conversations would be good conversations to be had by a lot of those guys. But at the same time, you want people who will be most affected by these decisions in the conversation too. Some of these guys have the money that if they decided to sit out, they wouldn't really be hurt. Whereas a lot of people would be strongly affected by that decision. And they need to know that as a whole, how that's going to affect people. You would hope that it wouldn't negatively affect people and they wouldn't just turn a blind eye to it and move on. But given the history of this league, when people decide to strike or sit out, it's next man up. They fill that spot and they just move on. So what would it take? It would take someone of notoriety standing up and calling on other people of notoriety and saying, hey, we want to get something done. Let's talk. Let's find this message. Let's find the actionable things that people can do to change, and let's put pressure on them right now. Let's put pressure on them right now in any way that we can. Let's use the platform while we have it, because this isn't forever. The platform, we won't have this platform forever. Not everyone will care forever. So they got to use it, because, his voice ain't quite the same as mine. No, it's not the same. They say in this league, things are fair but not equal. And that's just how it is. With the quarterbacks, it's fair, but it's not equal. They have that power. And, we can challenge them to use it to champion other people's voices.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris, for your time. You guys stay on the line. We're going to transition back to Taddy as a few updates, but thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you every time.
Thank you.